Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time and this week's stitch is number 25. It's called the Sprig stitch. This stitch pattern is a single crochet shell pattern and it's a one row repeat. So if you're new to crocheting and you like those one row repeats where you just do the same pattern row after row, you're going to enjoy this pattern. So this is my first sample and I just used 4 different colors. I used a beautiful pink, yellow, blue, and green. So the yarns I used in this sample, you can see that beautiful white coming through the colors, and that was the Ice Yarns Natural Baby. This is 10% bamboo, 14% cotton, 76% acrylic. It comes in a 100-gram skein, 225 meters. It's classified as a 2 fine weight yarn, but I find it's more between a 3 and a 4. It's just a really nice soft yarn, and it's very nice if you want to make something for a baby. So I used the pink, I used yellow, blue, and mint green. So that is the first sample. Now changing colors every row, you can see you're going to have a lot of ends when you're doing it this way. If you change colors every 2 rows, then you can carry the yarn up the side of your work and then crochet over those ends of the yarn that you carry up when you put a border on your design. Now when looking at this, you can see how the single crochet shells form points. And then when you get done with your sample, I'm also going to show you how to put a straight edge on your pattern so you can make it squared up so the bottom and the top is almost the same. So the second sample I made just using a 4 medium weight white yarn. So when you look at your work, you can see that little bit of extra texture on your sample after you make those shell stitches. It just forms a nice ridge that just adds some interest to the pattern. So hopefully you can see that okay. That's my second sample. My third sample, I used a multi-color, and this was the Premier Woods yarn. This is a beautiful yarn. It's fun to work with. It's fun to watch how the colors create the pattern. Depending on what stitch pattern you're using, you can get all kinds of different effects with the same yarn. So again, this sample was made using the Premier Woods. This is a 170 yard skein, 155 meters, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams. It's 100% acrylic. It has a nice feel to it. It's on the soft side. It's a 4 medium weight yarn. It is machine wash, warm, tumble dry, normal. It is made in Turkey, and this is the color 1074-14 Sequoia. So very beautiful colors when it works up. So those are my 3 samples. So for today's sample, I'm using the Ice yarn in the Natural Baby in this beautiful blue color. And I already have my yarn attached to my hook. Now the stitch multiple is a multiple of 4 plus 3. So if you're new to trying to figure out multiples, you would take the multiple, which is 4, and you would chain 4 again, and keep chaining in increments of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on until you get it to the width you want, and then you add 3. So for today, we're going to chain 15, which is the multiple of 4 times 3, which is 12, and then we add 3 for 15. So we're going to begin and we're going to chain 15. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop on your hook. That creates your first chain. The loop on your hook does not count as a chain. So let's continue. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. You should now have a total of 15 chains. So now we're ready to go ahead and start row 1. To begin row 1, you're going to skip 1, 2, 3 chains insert into the 4th chain, work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that chain, work your 2nd single crochet. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to work 2 single crochet into the next chain. So insert into the next chain, work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that same chain, work your 2nd single crochet. So with this shell stitch on row 1, we're working 2 single crochet into the 4th chain from hook. We chain 2 and then 2 single crochet into the very next chain. That's how you start row 1. So now we're going to go ahead and begin the repeat. So if you need help, this is where you're going to click back on the video to where I say this is the start of the repeat, and work until I say this is the end of the repeat, and we're going to work that across to the last 2 chain. So let's begin. You're going to skip the next 2 chain, insert into the next chain, work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that chain, work your 2nd single crochet. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 single crochet into the next chain. Insert into the next chain, work your 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. You're working your shell stitch across 2 stitches just on row 1. So let's go ahead and do the repeat again. Skip 2 chain, insert into the next chain, work 2 single crochet. 1, 2, chain 2, insert into the next chain, work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. So if you have a longer chain, you're just going to repeat skip 2 chain, work 2 single crochet into the next chain, chain 2 and 2 single crochet into the next chain, and you're going to repeat that across until you get to the last 2 chains. To end the row, we're going to skip the next chain and work 1 single crochet only into that last chain. So row 1 is finished. Very simple pattern. So now we're going to go ahead and do row 2, which row 2 will be your repeat row, and you'll just keep repeating row 2 until you get it to the length you want. So let's go ahead and start row 2. We're going to begin with a chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to turn your work, and now we're going to be working into the chain 2 spaces of each shell stitch across. So in each chain 2 space, we're going to work 2 single crochet, a chain 2, and 2 single crochet across until we get to our ending turning chain. So let's begin. Insert into the next chain 2 space of that first shell, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2, insert back into that chain 2 space, work 2 more single crochet. So now the rest of the pattern, you're going to be working your shell stitches right into the center of the chain 2 spaces of each shell. So now you're going to find your next chain 2 space of your next shell, and you'll see that because it's going to be sticking up in the air. You're going to see that little point on your shell. Insert into that next chain 2 space, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Chain 2, insert back into that chain 2 space, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. You're just working a shell stitch in each chain 2 space across. Find your next shell stitch, insert into that chain 2 space, work 2 single crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, insert back into that same chain 2 space, and work 2 single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So if you're working on a longer piece of work, you're just going to continue and work those 2 single crochet, chain 2, 2 single crochet. You're going to repeat that across until you work in that last shell stitch. So when you get to the end of the row, you're going to have 2 single crochet from that last shell stitch you worked in, and then clear over on the end you're going to have that ending turning chain. So to end the row, we're going to work 1 single crochet into the top of that chain. So to end the row, you're skipping the 2 single crochet and going into the very next chain, which is the top chain of that turning chain. So insert into the top of that turning chain and work 1 single crochet. And that is how you end row 2. So now you're just going to continue and repeat row 2. So this is a very easy pattern. So let me go ahead and work it one more time with you. So for row 3, we're just going to repeat row 2. You're going to chain 3, turn your work. You're going to jump right over to the first chain 2 space, and again the chain 2 space of each shell are these points that are sticking up in the air, so very easy to find. Jump over to the first chain 2 space of that first shell, insert into the chain 2 space, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, insert back into that same chain 2 space and work 2 more single crochet, 1 and 2. And again, each shell stitch you make has 2 single crochet, a chain 2 and 2 single crochet, and we're working that in each chain 2 space across. So let's do it again. Insert into the next chain 2 space, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2, insert back into that same space and work 2 more single crochet, 1 and 2. Again, that is the end of the repeat. So we have one more repeat to go. Insert into the next chain 2 space, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Chain 2, insert back into that chain 2 space, work 2 more single crochet, 1 and 2. And when you look at your work, you'll notice you worked in the last shell stitch, and all you have left remaining is your ending turning chain. So you're going to skip the 2 single crochet of that last shell stitch, and you're going right into the very next chain of that turning chain 3. So you can count up 1, 2, and 3, or you can just go into that very first chain after the last stitch. Insert into the top of that turning chain, work 1 single crochet. And that is how easy it is to do this pattern. So go ahead and you can continue working row 2 and practice a little bit more. And when you get it to the length you want, then we're going to put a finishing row and try to straighten up our edge so you have a straight edge at the end of your work. So now it's time to go ahead and do that last row. So again, if you want to practice row 2 until you get the hang of doing the pattern stitch, and then do the last row. So to do the last row, you're just going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and turn your work. We're going to work a half double crochet into this first stitch. You're going to yarn over, skip the first chain 2 spaces that you just made, and insert under the top 2 loops of that beginning stitch. Work your half double crochet. Now we're going to work 2 single crochet into the chain 2 space of this first shell stitch. So if you're not sure, just pull your work apart, find that chain 2 space, which is the point of that shell, insert into the chain 2 space, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. So now we're going to start the repeat. So if you need help, click back on the video to where I say this is the start of the repeat, and we're going to work across to that last ending turning chain. So let's start the repeat. You're going to yarn over, you're going to go right in between your current shell and your next shell, right into that opening between those shell stitches, and we're going to work a double crochet. Now we're going to work 2 single crochet into that next chain 2 space. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. So we have one more repeat to go. And again, if you're working on a longer project, then just click back in the video if you need help. So let's do the repeat again. We're going to work a double crochet between this current shell and this next shell stitch. You're going right between those stitches into the space right here. So yarn over, insert into the space between the current shell and the next shell, work 1 double crochet. Insert into the next chain 2 space of the next shell, work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. And you can see how it's starting to put that straight edge across the last row. And you'll work that across to the very last shell of your work. When you work in the last shell, you're going to notice the only thing left are your 2 single crochet of the last shell and your turning chain. So to end the very last row, we're going to work 1/2 double crochet into this top chain of that turning chain. Yarn over, insert into the top chain of that turning chain 3, work a 1/2 double crochet. And that is the end of the very last row, and that is the row you work to put the straight edge when you get your project to the length you want. So let me just show you the samples again. This is the one where I change colors every row. And it's so amazing how different you can make these pattern stitches look by just putting your own spin on these patterns with your own color combinations. So that was changing colors every row. This one was just using the solid white, and then we had the one using that multicolors. It's just a fun stitch pattern whether you're a beginner crocheter or you're a more experienced crocheter and you just want something fun and easy. This is the stitch pattern for you. Now I want to remind everybody that all my Stitch of the Week patterns are free, and you can find every one of my Stitch of the Week patterns on our website, creativegrandma.net. Just click on Stitch of the Week. You can scroll down, you can pick whichever stitch you want, you can pick one, you can pick them all, you can download them right to your computer. And what I suggest to people is get yourself a binder, print those patterns out, and start your own little stitch library. So if you need to make something in a hurry and you just don't know what pattern to pick, this is just a great resource for you to have those patterns on hand for your own convenience. And if you're learning how to read stitch patterns, you can always follow along with the video, follow the written instructions, and that will help you also learn how to read instructions. Now, the one thing I always forget to mention in my videos, that these stitch patterns are written in USA terms. So if you are using UK terms, then you're going to have to substitute the right terminology as these are written in USA terms. So thank you everybody for stopping by and learning a new stitch with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here at Creative Grandmas. Happy crocheting, everyone.